how to make yourself quote unquote bulletproof to scam. So basically different ways to, prevent, kind of like mental checklists you can go through to help yourself. So make sure the contract address and website you're interacting with is legit. Don't trust verify. You can see on the MetaMask approval screen, it gives you the website, the contract address. You can check this contract address on Etherscan and see it's so I'm using Uniswap as the example. See it's publicly labeled as Uniswap. You can see there's over 14 million transactions and constantly 25 plus pending transactions on this contract address for swaps. A fake scam Uniswap contract probably wouldn't have these metrics. So this is the example I was trying to find earlier. It's saying, hey, you're interacting with Uniswap. This is the contract. You go to the contract. It says, hey, it's publicly labeled as Uniswap in the DEX. It's over here, the V3 from deployer. A fake contract probably isn't going to have 14 million transactions on it with 25 pending constantly. And, it's labeled and all that. So just a way to check there. Periodically check and revoke your token approvals. There's no downside really other than another gas transaction in the future. And some common tools, we kind of went over that. You can use free browser extensions such as Pocket Universe, Wallet Guard, Mint Defense if you're early on Neo Tokyo, I guess. These are kind of like a last line of defense. They basically let you see what you're actually doing. So it's kind of like a pre-screening, like, hey, you interacting with this contract address is actually doing this. So it kind of gives a more human readable version of what you're actually approving for in MetaMask. Obviously, they shouldn't be blindly trusted, but this has saved a lot of people like in the past, and they're free. So there's not really much downside other than, it's a bit slower to load. Custom approval over unlimited, kind of went over that. Multiple wallets, I kind of went over that. Approvals are wallet specific, spread the funds over multiple wallets equals reduced risk. So, and then basically utilizing cold and hot wallets. Healthy wallet structure is super important. Majority of assets should be on a hardware wallet. The key thing is like a ledger will not protect your tokens if you're basically giving approval to a malicious contract. The ledger is basically a way to confirm that you are the only one that can confirm that transaction. But again, if you confirm a transaction for something that's malicious, it's malicious, right? This is just explaining what connecting means, which I explained earlier, where people think like connecting your wallet to a site is like going to scam you. All it does is let the site see what the contents of the wallet, but it uses those to basically, scan what it wants to trick you into approve for. This is a really good infographic that I like and refer to a lot by Wagme University, breaking down like, hey, you should probably have like, at least 2 hot wallets, and the nice thing is like, if you have like a burner wallet or hot wallet, then you can use that for the, the very time sensitive FOMO. You're not sure what this contract is or whatever. You can just use the burner wallet. And if it's a scam, it doesn't matter. It's a burner wallet, right? You've got like $10 on it. So that's fine. And then there's kind of like different versions of cold wallets where, you could have like lukewarm or medium cold wallet where that wallet is the one interacting with OpenSea or other sites. And then there's like ice cold wallet, if you want to refer to that, where you're only essentially moving things in and out. You could have a completely separate ledger for that potentially as well. But yeah, there's definitely no downside for more wallets. I guess this kind of rolls into the next part, but basically, just because it's coming from an official Twitter or site, doesn't mean it's actually safe, because it's actually deceptively easy for social media accounts to be hacked. And then this is an example where basically this 17-year-old stole millions of dollars by somehow getting past 2FA with Authenticator app on Twitter for all of these accounts, and basically scam fished a bunch of people, and he only got like 6 months probation because he was 17. So you got lucky there. Getting pretty long here, but there's some other general internet crypto stuff I think I'll go over quickly because I think it's important and people should have it or know about it. So ideally always use 2FA whenever possible, and use an authenticator app like Authy or Google. The reason for this is if you're just using SMS or phone text, this leaves you vulnerable to a SIM swap, which isn't very difficult to pull off. They basically just have to pretend that you are the person on the cell phone provider, and then basically all the text messages go to their cell phone, and then they start to reset all your passwords. But having an authenticator app basically prevents this. Sometimes you don't have the option, take the authenticator app option if you can, but for stuff like banks and other stuff, like they're still using SMS because they'll lose more money trying to convert people, I guess, even though they could make it an option. And then you can actually use something like a YubiKey, which is basically the next level of 2FA, and it's basically like a ledger, but for logging into your Web2 account. So you basically, when you want to log in, you basically have to plug in the key and then you tap it and it like puts in a code. So that's basically a more secure version. These are like 50 to 70 bucks each. So something to consider. I got to go over passwords. You know, people use the same password. You know, the way to go around this is just use a password manager. You know, basically all you have to do is remember the core password for the password manager, and you can create complex passwords for every password, because a lot of people have the same easy to guess password for everything, and then, you know, you're screwed. And then this basically saves and autofills every password that you want for it. And a strong password is basically, you know, using, you know, multiple letters, characters, numbers, special characters. As you can see here, you know, if you have, you know, number, upper and lowercase letters and symbols, and it's only 14 characters, it's going to take 16 million years for that to get brute forced. It's worth the time, I think. You know, I just have to remember like one semi-long password, which is just like a few phrases for the password manager, and then everything's saved and auto-filled in there. So I don't actually have to type in the passwords or username for anything. I just load up the extension and autofill it. I like Bitwarden. A lot of other people seem to as well, because it's open source, audited, encrypted. There's social proof with other people using it. The premium version is only $10 a year. You can check if your email or password has been compromised through I've been pwned. For antiviruses, Windows Defender is actually better than it used to be like 4 years ago. Apparently the free McAfee with Windows 11 is trash. Cybersecurity authority accounts such as Wildcard, etc., seem to recommend the paid version of Malwarebytes as an antivirus. And I think this has to do with how it basically detects and prevents the threats. For social engineering, I assume everyone is an actor, is a bad actor, I should have it there. Even if you think it's coming from an account you trust, you know, it's very possible that their account has been compromised. No support agent should ever be asking you to interact with a contract. Share your screen, give them remote access to your computer, or, you know, type your seed phrase in any type of anything. This is like privacy focused emails. Don't send credentials over email. People like Proton Mail. This is kind of like not a big deal. This is more so like, hey, you know, you get the similar functionality to Gmail without having Gmail, you know, read all your emails to sell you ads. Don't use public Wi-Fi for doing crypto transactions. Don't let random people use your hotspot. Telegram, you know, only stuff in secret chat is actually encrypted. Stuff, typically only the messages in transit are encrypted. You should assume anything you're sending over here, like, you know, could be found or revealed as well. For JavaScript blockers, it helps protect against malware being deployed. You can use an open source one. For Chrome, you basically have to toggle it off by default. But if you use something like Tor or Brave, it blocks it by default. I'm kind of like a Brave maxi because it's basically Google Chrome, but it's less resource intensive, and your data isn't getting harvested by Google. And you know, you have the same functionality as like all the Google Chrome extensions that you like and want to use. That's why I say that. For VPNs, you know, it's like $80 a year. It's kind of like your condom for the internet. You can do fine without it, but it protects you from different potential downsides that over time become harder and harder to ignore. It gives you some protection from websites that want to harvest your IP. For picking a VPN, you know, ideally you don't want to use something that logs your data or is located in any of the nations a part of these eyes. The eyes are basically international, like an agreement for international surveillance between countries, because they aren't allowed to kind of surveil or collect that data on their own citizens, but they're allowed to share it between each other conveniently. Avoid free VPNs, pay with a prepaid card, gifts or crypto. It removes your personal credit card info from the VPN provider. Most top 10 VPN sites are sponsored and are just there to get referral link traffic. I like Proton. I've heard Mullvad is also good, and Express also gets shielded on YouTube vids, but I don't think they log your data. But the key point is like, you just don't want them to log your data. I know Nord gets shielded a lot. I think they log your data though. If you don't care about privacy, you know, how would you feel if you got the following message? This is basically just me going over the $5 wrench attack, but basically this is someone saying like, hey, I know you have a lot of crypto. Sent them proof that they know their personal info. They're saying, you know, I'm going to share that with people in your area. Send me money to this address, and, you know, I'll leave you alone, basically. If you don't, you know, anything bad that happens to you, your family, is basically your fault. Kind of why privacy matters, especially, and, you know, especially in crypto, and especially, you know, if you have a lot of crypto, basically. The conclusion is, you know, wallet token security is a very unsexy topic that struggles to get visibility. The sad reality is most people don't care or feel it's not worth the initial learning. Until they get drained or someone high profile gets hacked, and then, you know, everyone, you know, LARPs and engagement farms about it for about 48 hours, and then they stop caring. The key thing, I think, is just having a cautious and defensive mindset is very important. Like, assume every contract or person you're interacting with is malicious. Project or person sends a tweet that's off, just prompting you to do something that could be a security risk, but it's from the verified Discord. It doesn't matter. their social account could get hacked. And the other thing I do is I assume everything in the hot wallet is basically already stolen or compromised, right? I'm assuming it's going to be stolen at any point, and you know, I keep assets in there proportional to that amount, right? So you know, you see people storing like all their expensive NFTs and all this stuff in their hot wallets, you know, and then they get drained because of the malware, because it's really easy to strip that private and seed phrase from the hot wallets, and then they lose everything basically. And then my disclaimer that I probably should have put at the start is I'm not a crypto or cybersecurity expert, whatever that means exactly. This is basically all taught through continuous learning and multiple sources. I got myself scammed through FOMO and greed very, very early. It wasn't through like any of the typical methods or anything I said in this presentation, but it was from a fake live stream scam and a fake medbot scam coming into the space. So very early on, I just took the time to kind of learn and set up security, you know, and don't be the guy who's forced to learn about security because you lost everything, painfully large amount. That's it. Don't get wrecked.